Hello once again from the Prim Reaper. I'm sorry that I disappeared for a little while. Real life got to me a little bit last week, and I was having a difficult time with some stuff. However, in the end, I discovered that I was accepted into my master's program, so all's well that ends well. That said, I'm hoping to put out at least 2 videos this week to make up for that, both covering one example each of the kind of mischaracterization I was referring to in my previous video. These 2 examples will show that this type of thing happens in both Parliament and the mainstream media, and also demonstrates how destructive it can be towards the groups that are legitimately seeking equality for men's issues. This first video features the discussion in Alberta Parliament because it is a bit more brief and gives a little more context for certain portions of the other video. Like the clips that I used from the Reasonable Questions for Anti-SJWs video, I'll be speeding up the clips that I use from this one, partially to help speed things along, but also to avoid potential copyright nonsense. But I'll be linking the original video in the low bar if you want to see it in its original context. So without further ado...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Feminism is a cancer. At least that's what the Wild Rose Club at the University of Calgary would have you believe.
For context, in case it's not clear to everyone, this speaker is from the left-wing NDP, the current Albertan party in power, and she's directing her comments to the Wild Rose Party, and to a lesser degree the Conservative Party, the 2 main right-wing parties of Alberta. As to the actual quote, "feminism is cancer," I don't like it. Don't get me wrong, I certainly agree with the Wild Rose Party's critical view of feminism, but this in particular isn't useful. It's a cheap, pithy soundbite that gets tossed about entirely too liberally. This might sound pedantic of me, but bear with me for a moment. Feminism as a movement certainly has a lot of toxic elements and plenty of room for legitimate criticisms, but simply saying something like, "feminism is cancer," is hardly a legitimate criticism. It's really no different from saying, "feminism sucks," or "feminism is stupid," or any other readily dismissed low-effort comment. Now, I'm not saying that people have to write a doctoral thesis anytime they want to challenge a feminist talking point, but not only is this line not going to change anyone's mind, but the inflammatory nature of the phrase gives people like this ammo to use to show how uneducated and unworthy the other side is of being heard. Phrases like this are actively harmful to our cause.
Yesterday, that's what they wrote on their invitation to a film screening about a men's rights movement called the Red Pill, funded and supported by Breitbart and Milo. It's a fundraiser they were co-hosting with the campus Federal Conservatives for a men's right group.
Now, we all know here that this woman has never seen the movie. I mean, it's obvious. She has to attack it not based on its content, not based on the work and research done by the person who made the film, but based on one of the people who supported it. Love Milo Yiannopoulos or hate him, I can't fathom the idea of disliking an entire group of people because of one person. Hell, I would go as far as to say that this is another example of conflation that I didn't even mention in my last video, because as far as I was aware, Milo is not really a men's rights activist, but simply an anti-feminist. And once again, these are not the same thing. Not all anti-feminists are men's rights advocates. Some people just dislike feminism and couldn't give a damn about men's issues. Though there is certainly some overlap, it's important to make that distinction if you want to appear to have any idea what you're talking about. But then again, if this person really gave a rat's ass about looking like she had any idea what she was talking about, she'd have watched the film so that she could talk about it from an educated perspective. Nope, this little rant is entirely 100% feels over reels. If she hasn't made that clear already, she sure does in a second.
Now, these so-called men's right advocates belittle the advancement of women
No, they don't.
and promote hatred and violence. One of
No, they don't.
their leaders in the U.S. advocates legalizing rape, so in their minds, women would learn to protect their virtue.
Oh my god, nope. This is textbook conflation peppered with a generous helping of bullshit. Okay, I'll tackle all of these previous comments in order. Men's rights groups do not seek to reduce the rights of women, only to increase their rights. Men's rights advocates actively work against violence, both perpetuated by men and women no less, and they certainly do not promote hatred. Challenging the current status quo in order to demonstrate areas in which they are lacking is not hatred. It may be angry at times, as it is only natural to feel angry when faced with unfairness, but it's not hateful. Though it may look that way to people who plug their ears and refuse to listen to the actual concerns and then say, "Why do you look so angry right now? It must be because you hate me." As for the last comment, I'm fully aware what this is referring to, and this is exactly where I come in and demand to know whether this level of ignorance is deliberate or not. She's talking about an article written by Roosh V, who, for anyone not acquainted with the manosphere, is not a leader of the MRM. Holy hell! He is a pickup artist, probably one of the more well-known ones. The article she's referring to is one in which he expresses disdain for the fact that women can get drunk and not be responsible for their actions in the context of sexual relations, yet if that same woman gets into a car and kills someone, she'll be prosecuted for it. In order to challenge this situation, he suggests making rape on private property legal. Because if a woman is presumed to have given consent to sex the moment she enters a man's apartment, she'll really think twice about whether she enters with him or not, rather than just having a bunch of drinks, sleeping with him, and regretting it the morning after. It's a crass article. There's no question about that. This is kind of Roosh V's style. He lacks a lot of nuance in his views and is eager to shift the blame for all life's woes onto women without really taking too much time to look in the mirror. Definitely not really a big fan. But to see this article and then assume that he's 100% seriously pushing for the legalization of rape is beyond obtuse. But it doesn't even matter, because Roosh V is not an MRA, and is certainly not one of their leaders. So bringing him up when talking about a film concerned with the men's rights movement is either ignorance of the MRM or deliberate conflation of men's groups in order to try to discredit them wholesale.
Mr. Speaker, the language used by these people online degrades women. They use slurs and insults, calling women special snowflakes, social justice warriors, and other unparliamentary language. Where have we heard that before?
God damn it, these words are not used against all women. They're used against feminists and, well, social justice warriors. You know, the kind of people going around proclaiming that they've discovered a new gender that only applies to them. Because I'm so special and unique, and that you better goddamn respect their pronouns or you're a giant bigot. The kind of people who don't feel a shred of cognitive dissonance when they tell white people that they need to shut up and let everyone else talk, and in perhaps not quite the same breath, they say that white people can't be victims of racism. The kind of people who feel the need to upend long-established fields like math and science in order to make them easier and more attractive to women, regardless of the legitimacy, or far more likely the lack thereof, of their new alterations. Not all women feel this way. Not even all feminists feel this way. These kinds of examples are generally limited to, you guessed it, special snowflake SJWs. Christ, even the PUAs are generally aware of some differences between most women and people like this. And if you're familiar with any PUA articles, that's really saying something.
It is a sickening message anytime, but on the eve of International Women's Day, it is a sobering reminder of how far we need to go.
It's a sobering reminder of how feminism is for everyone, but if you want to talk about men's issues, we will spread horrible lies about your position so that you can't anymore. A sobering reminder of the fact that these blatant falsehoods are being spread not just in feminist safe spaces at universities, but in government as well. This is totally unacceptable.
Mr. Speaker, the opposition is outraged when anyone suggests they're far-right social conservatives. But holding fundraisers like this shows just how out of touch they are with Albertans, especially Alberta women.
Well, this Albertan woman is telling you how out of touch with reality you are and that you should attempt to educate yourself before you speak on these kinds of issues again. You won't, of course, but that just means that other people will have to stand up to call you out. Anyway, the rest of the video isn't super relevant. She just virtue signals for a few seconds about how her party is doing so much for women, all the while men's rights and those who have any support for them spread hate and soggy knees and all of that nonsense. So I'm just going to wrap it up here. Originally, I was intending to try to do both of these videos all in one go, but that would very likely push this topic into the too long didn't watch category, and it would also prevent me from getting this one out as soon as I'd like. But let it be known that I've already mostly prepared my material for the next video and should have it out by Thursday at the latest. So thank you all for watching, and I'll hope to see you in the next one.